Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another wonderful episode of Two Beers Deep. We are here. It is I, Derek, and an unlockable character. Unlockable character, how is it going over there?
I'm attempting to get through to the other side and be released into this game, but I still struggle, apparently, to be one with the rest of us.
Struggle you do, Greg. Struggle you do.
I am just the epitome of struggle. What can I say?
The struggle bus, if you will. How are things going in Greg's world?
Greg's world is not bad. Same old, if you will. Getting paid to dog sit right now, so at least that's nice. And you know,
big anti-small show this week.
Big anti-small show, apparently. Yeah. Wait, does that not work? Big anti-small? Isn't anti-small just big?
He's a human, Greg.
So?
He's Smalls.
Ah.
We're not calling him Small. His name is Smalls. You know what I mean?
Okay, just making sure. Forgot about the plural on that. You know, that happens.
Big anti-small show. Josh, what are your thoughts on Smalls?
I don't like pigeons.
He's dead to me.
In general, they're dirty birds, and they make a lot of noise, but they look helpless and in the air.
And it's not even that I'm looking for like gratitude here, just for the record. It's just, common
acknowledgement.
Common
acknowledgement,
courtesy.
if you will. Yeah.
For everyone
also,
at home.
Great album.
What?
Common Courtesy. Great album.
You wouldn't have picked it last week, so what's the point?
So it was 2012. I couldn't have picked it.
Well, it's because you and Josh were jerking each other off under the table. I actually did the real albums.
We just had fire in our eyes, basically. We were trying to
enough to lose a draft.
Big
I think we held our own, in fairness.
No? It's not even close. I made the graphics. I never put them out, but I did make them, and
I wouldn't have put them out either.
And they're bad. They do not look good for us, Greg.
It happens. We get angry, we get riled up, and then we just lose sight of the actual competition.
For everyone at home, I bought Smalls a Boston Fenway hat that we gave him. Greg gave him for me for his wedding. He is now in Boston for his wedding, and I have yet to receive a text. I get it. Like, big day, right? Like, big weekend. It's not all about me, but like, he gave it to him, yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Just saying. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, the whole time in the airport that he could have said something, texted
He's probably
quick.
wearing it.
Yeah, he probably is.
Has he posted any pictures?
I would imagine. I
Does
could
he
not
post
tell
pictures?
you.
He does every once in a while.
Okay.
Will Marshall posted a picture for him today.
Let's
see if he's posting any pictures.
I didn't know he had other people posting stuff for him. That's kind of...
Well, he's on Will Marshall's fitness training thing.
Okay,
no pictures of the hat yet, so he's technically in the clear. Combine that with dropping a 40-pound weight on my face this morning. It's been a good day.
Ooh.
It's not as black and blue as I was thinking it was going to be.
No, my eyes are like really dark, but they're always kind of dark. Here's really, really swollen. And then I cut that bled this morning there, but it's not as bad. It was like sitting at my computer all day around like 2:45. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go home. Like, my head really hurts. I don't think I've concussed or anything. I think it's just like pressure right at the middle of my fucking forehead.
If you if as soon as you felt the impact, if your immediate reaction is to like feel the I don't know, like make sure the blood circulation in your fingers was going on, that's how you know it's a concussion.
What? Walk me through that one again.
It's like shock. It's like a shock to your head, basically. So it like hits your nervous system. So therefore, you feel the shock go down your spine, and then you're immediately gonna want to feel your fingers, and it like feels the tingle in it. Essentially, I shit you not, it's real.
So if you have a concussion, your fingers tingle when you get hit.
Well, yeah, because it's like when you get hit, it's almost like a shock that then goes down your spinal cord and into your nervous system, which is then connected throughout your body. So like your immediate reaction is to like lean up and then like get motion in your fingers and make sure that you're moving okay. It's the weirdest thing in the world, but the only time I ever had one, like that was my first reaction to, and I've known other people that have done the same thing.
All right. I don't hate. Here's the thing. I can't diss a prove it right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I basically dropped the weight on my chest and it bounced up in the air, which is crazy, and then landed on my face and my AirPods popped out both sides. So I wasn't thinking about my fingers till probably right now. Right now might be the first time I've thought about my fingers all day.
So what you're saying is that your chest is way stronger than you thought for the fact that it bounced off you. It just bounced off perfectly.
It's the Dane Cook joke about dropping his phone in the toilet. He's like, and then it ricochets off my giant, humongous cock right into the.
Basically.
Yeah,
but
that was
I just
that was.
looked around and there was one other person in the gym and it was a very attractive female and she was running on the treadmill and she didn't notice. So while I'm crying, because when you get hit in the nose, you just cry. I'm just laughing.
Yes, definitely true.
Great.
Good day. Glad it's Thursday.
Yeah, how's that squat going? Yeah.
Oh, I've just done it so many times. What's the point now?
I bet.
It's just too easy.
Yeah.
Can we get a harder challenge?
We should make it harder. Yeah.
Like one skull crusher.
Yeah, just do it without hurting yourself.
Oh god.
Do any exercise without hurting yourself.
The problem was the amount of people that messaged me like the right way to do it, and I'm like, hey, yeah, no fucking shit, I did it the wrong way. Thanks.
Yeah,
like dude, I get it, but I did it the wrong way. We can all agree that's not the correct way, even though the name is Skull Crusher.
Did everyone send you the exact same way to do it, or did everyone have different methods to how to do it properly? Just
most people were just like, you did it wrong, and then a couple people sent me like, hey, you should be doing this, and it was just like different stuff. One guy was like, you should be doing it with kettlebells. I was like, I would be dead. One guy said you should do it with 2 weights beside it and do it like that so it's not directly over. And I was like, that's a very real way to do it, I guess.
I just do one at a time.
Yeah.
And then switch.
Well, my gym doesn't have a free bar because I used to do it with the small bent bar and do it like that so the bar touches, because with the big ones, the problem was, this is terrible. I had the one end of the weight and then it was the bar and then the other end of the weight. And when I'm going like this, the weight came down too far, so I couldn't get it. So I tried to move my hand like this and grab it sideways and come down like that, and that's when I dropped it.
So you don't have like dumbbells?
No, they're dumbbells. I just didn't grab the dumbbell by the middle and like lift it down. I grabbed like a triangle grip on the top one.
Oh, yeah. I see where that went wrong. I would have made that mistake for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was like, oh, let me change my grip, and then
and then chaos.
And then here we are.
Accidents.
It wasn't great. All right. 3, 2, 1, action. We got a lot of topics to get to tonight. Not really, but we have a lot of large topics, so it's not like this crazy one. Josh, what is that?
This is Cabin Boys Brewery. This is Trail Magic Hazy IPA. Oklahoma City, obviously.
Obviously.
It's like a decent juicy IPA, but this can artwork fucks and reminds me of the Future Birds album.
Yeah, Future Birds, they were just in town in Nashville, actually.
Don't fucking... You like the Future Birds now?
No, they were just in town. I don't like them. They were just here.
About to
text they were at the Ryman.
Blonde somebody and be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Definitely wouldn't do that.
I'm surprised you haven't gone to at least like 5 or 6 concerts since you've been in Oklahoma City, honestly.
Facts. That's on you.
Mm-hmm.
Artists don't go to Laramie, Wyoming, Greg.
What?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
I've been here for like not even 3 weeks yet.
And you haven't gone to any concerts?
No.
Yeah, hell.
Jesus.
That's
I played pickleball on Saturday till it was too hot to be outside. Does that count?
How hot is too hot there?
Pretty fucking hot.
Yeah.
It's pretty nasty.
There's going to be a little hotter than here.
It's Satan's Tate for sure.
Believe that.
Yeah. Anyway, are you drinking or no?
No, I'm drinking a Trader Joe's sparkling pineapple water. It's the last one I had in the fridge. No beer tonight for your boy. Greg, what are you drinking? Bud Light again?
No, that'll be probably the second or third one. But I'm drinking Oil Cup, which is from 450 North Brewing. The weird thing about it is like, it's definitely a sour. But the funny thing about it is all it says is on the front is, due to the large amount of fruit in this beer, it's a stone cold drink fresh sour ale. Doesn't tell you the fruit, just says there's a lot of it in it.
There's a lot. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all you need to know. A lot of pineapple from what I can tell, and I'm not hating.
All right. Well, let's play. Who do we think wins the NBA Finals?
Greg, you go first. Sorry, I'm putting the graphic up on my Instagram.
You're fine, dude.
I think the Nuggets sweep.
Ooh.
Wow.
I think the Nuggets sweep.
Why?
I've watched the Heat play during the Eastern Conference Finals, during the Eastern Conference playoffs, obviously. They go 7 against the Celtics. They go 7 against the Sixers. And I'm getting very strong vibes about when essentially Jimmy Butler kind of put the team on his back and won for him and won for this team to get to 6. Granted, this team I think is a little better than the one in the bubble. I will give them that. Not having Tyler Hero, I think, kind of hurts them a little bit, but I will say they've done a very good job supplanting him. And actually, a lot of guys have stepped up without Tyler Hero, so there's something to be said for that. But man, I look at this Denver team. They're deep at every level. They shoot. They play defense. Jokic, I think, is just having an incredible run in the playoffs right now. Is probably the favorite to win MVP after they win the title. Because I mean, obviously, like the way that they've also just run through the West too is just impressive to me. You know, like sweeping the Lakers, which I would say like a lot of people probably didn't think the Lakers should have been in the Western Conference Finals, and probably a lot of people didn't think was going to happen. The fact they swept them says a lot. The fact they beat a KD and Booker team that Booker went nuclear to try to win those games and still held on says a lot. I just think this Nuggets team has been slept on all year, especially because for the fact they were the best team in the West and no one talked about them all year. Everyone was always talking about the Lakers. Everyone was talking about the Warriors. Everyone was talking about
they're boring.
Grizzlies and all that stuff. I get that they're boring, but boring doesn't mean you're not good. You know, it just means you're boring. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. Sweep seems disrespectful when you break it down in the way that there's probably not a player on the Heat that can cover Joker. I mean, Bam Adebayo is good for what he is, but he can't cover Joker. Joker's going to feast. But on the other end of the court, I don't trust Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, any of them to guard Jimmy Butler. So you're really looking at a battle of the two stars. Now, the thing you brought up is the Nuggets obviously have great three-point shooting. I mean, the Heat have been really, really efficient without Tyler Hero on the floor. I mean, Strauss has been killing it. Like they've had some guys that really have stepped up. It feels closer to a team of destiny than anything, and I understand why you're picking the Nuggets. I just don't think that the Heat come into this final and don't at least get 1 or 2.
My problem though with the shooting aspect that you brought up too is that the Heat are all. I get the team of destiny type mindset, but that leads into the shooting part aspect. Is that this run that they are on? This is the best shooting they've probably had in years at this point. Like they were one of the lowest scoring teams throughout the regular season, and then somehow they get in the playoffs and they just turn another dial up, and they lose one of their better shooters in Tyler Hero. So I get the feeling that somehow, some way, it's gonna come crashing down on them, kind of like they did in the bubble. But I am giving them credit because I do think this team is better than the one that was in the bubble and eventually hit that ceiling. But it's coming up against a Nuggets team that just is, I think, has been slept on all year and just has talent all over on that roster.
Yeah, agreed. I think that the interesting to bring up. So you look at the double-digit scores. So for the Nuggets, there's Joker, Murray, Porter, Gordon, Bruce Bowen, excuse me, and then Kendavius Caldwell-Pope. You look at the double-digit scorers. So that is 29 for Murray, or for Jokic, 27 for Murray. Big drop to 14, 13, 12, 11. Look at the Heat, 28 for Jimmy, 16 for Bam, 14 for Caleb Martin, 13 for Gabe Vincent, 12 for Tyler Hero, one available. Victor Oladipo, 11.5, Max Struss, 10. I get what you're saying, because when you look at some of the other, statistics in there, it leans like it's going to be a Nugget victory, but I'm not going to sit here, especially with some of these guys, field goal percentage is great for the Nuggets right now. Totally respect and understand that. It's just as good for the Heat.
Actually, the Heat are shooting worse than they shot in the regular season, Greg. They shot
Really?
47% through the regular season, and they are shooting at a 64.2% right now.
I would have never guessed that they were shooting worse in the playoffs.
What's up, NBA rigged? He said, yo, TFTB family. Yes, I made it. All you spectacular gentlemen. Josh, your hilarious stash already made my day.
Yeah, it's all fucked up today. I got one side going straight, one side's curling. I don't know what's happening.
It's like one side's a pirate and the other side is just a guy.
Yeah.
Interestingly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about one other thing about this final that I think is an interesting. Spoelstra, I believe, has been with the Heat for 12 years. And the Denver Nuggets coach, whose name is eluding me at this point.
Mike Malone.
Thank you. Has been with them for 8 years. What we're looking at here, 12 years with Spoelstra, 6 finals appearances, obviously with LeBron and them. But the last time they beat the Nuggets, their team was atrocious dog water and had Mike Miller on it. On the other side of it, the Nuggets really, Joker was never supposed to be anything. Murray was a very underrated guard in his class, despite a good college career. Michael Porter Jr., we all loved, except for his back problems. Aaron Gordon, obviously, has had a big career as a dunker, not much more. What I'm getting to is that both of these coaches are long tenured for the NBA. And I think, hopefully, this will start to debunk the whole we need to fire our coach this year. Obviously, it didn't this season. But you get guys like Nick Nurse going to Philly, and you kind of see an opportunity for some of these coaches to last a little bit longer in their current situation due to what we're seeing in the finals right now.
Yeah, I think the whole aspect of culture is something that gets kind of overblown a lot in the NBA. I think there's kind of this logic that as long as you have a star player and as long as you have someone performing at an elite level, that you can survive coaching changes and all that. But I think there's something to be said with consistency and keeping guys together that breeds that familiarity and breeds that team camaraderie. Like people and when you brought up Spoelstra, by the way, Spoelstra's been the head coach there for 12 seasons. He started with
so he's been there 15 as the head coach.
Okay, 20 years as
26 as part of the organization.
Yeah.
Sorry, Greg.
So he's been there since he's been there since that team first started. When you think about it. You can put that in the same boat with Pat Riley, too. So, are they going to win every single year? No, but I think there is truly something to be said with regards to culture in the NBA and breeding that type of winning mentality that works every single year. Like, there's a reason why everyone always talks about the Heat having the best conditioning program in basketball, because they breed that. Pat Riley forces that on guys. There's like that rule that you're not allowed to start the season at 10% body fat. Like, it has to be lower than that every single year, which is kind of scary to think about. But that's the type of success and the type of culture that they breed down there. And I think over time it does work. And I wish there were more teams in the NBA that kind of stuck with something like that instead of 4 years not succeeding, starting all over, and then keep going over and over again. It's like the Cleveland Browns in the NFL every single year. 2 years doesn't work, rehash. And then it's just the same thing over and over and over again.
But even with all that conditioning, you don't think they win a game?
I think there's something to be said for the Nuggets just having better skill players and being a better team overall.
Okay. NBA says it's a 5-game gentleman's sweep, if not a clean sweep.
For the Nuggets? Is that what he's saying?
For the Nuggets, yeah. He said the finals might be the lowest rating. I'm not going to watch one game at all. Very lopsided. Both teams are hard to watch.
What?
I'm definitely going to try to watch as many games as I can just because it's the NBA Finals. I do think there's an essence in the world that what Greg's saying is correct, which is that, the Heat aren't the same. The Heat aren't the same team as the Nuggets, but from what I've seen, there's no one else. Like, if you're not a Nuggets fan, you're rooting for Jimmy Butler.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you guys think this is going to be a bad, or not you guys, but how do people think this is going to be a bad series?
So that's been the thing for a long time now, is everyone's like, oh, it's an unsexy series, and it's because I called the Nuggets boring. Think about when you think about who was the last pick in the NBA All-Star Game draft?
I don't know who was.
Joker.
Oh.
And I'm talking about embarrassingly last. And the point is, because he's not flashy, he wakes up with 29, 10, and 6. You know what I mean? So there's not a lot that's exciting about that, despite having a guy like Aaron Gordon on your team and having a good three-pointer. And on the Heat side of things, They're fundamentally sound except for Jimmy Butler. They play a very safe game of basketball. So I think to NBA's point, there's not this like if it was Celtics Suns, it's not Tatum versus Durant. If it was Lakers in there or Grizzly in there, it'd have this star, like this thing. We have a two-time MVP in Joker, but he's not really what people consider like a right home about star. And then you have Jimmy Butler, who everyone loves, but the rest of that team leaves a lot to be desired in terms of presence.
It kind of reminds me, Josh, when we talked last week about the lottery and how, like, you know, markets and players kind of matter with regards to that, to me, in my opinion. Like, I think if this was Boston, LA, the ratings would be through the roof.
Well, but that's not fair too. You can't say Boston, LA because that is what the NBA wants every fucking year is Boston versus LA.
Yeah.
So pick a different matchup.
Okay. Clippers and Knicks.
Pick a different matchup.
All right, way different, and that's I think that's a better matchup to do a comparison because is Jalen Brunson more of a star than Jimmy Butler or Jokic? I don't think so.
Not at all. I think that would be a worse matchup.
Right.
It would be worse, but I think you're adding the market capability of New York and LA playing each other,
but it's not the New York team of the past 5 years or the LA team of the past 10 centuries.
Okay, what if we did? 10 centuries. If we took a big market that didn't necessarily have a star versus like a smaller team that has a big star. So like, what if we did Memphis versus Chicago?
That would suck.
But it would still draw, though.
I don't agree with that.
I don't think it would.
Who's on Chicago that you want to watch?
No one, but it's still a big.
Your
big
obsession with big markets is crazy.
Because it's real.
Greg, is South Florida not a big market?
It's not a good TV market, no.
In terms of sports, no. I don't think it is.
I'm just saying when you have two teams in the finals, it's pretty big fucking market right now. I'll tell you that much.
I get it, but they're not going to be able to draw well.
I will put my money down that this is not anywhere close to the worst or the lowest finals viewership.
For sure. How about the last 10 years? Would you say that?
Let's see.
Well, the thing that sucks is like trying to measure TV ratings or most viewed ratings is like a losing task because TV ratings have gone down.
But you're obsessed with this market scenario.
Because I think there's credence to it.
Okay, but that would be television views, right?
And all other like multimedia, like what have you, YouTube TV.
Golden State versus Celtics averaged. I don't know how to. They averaged 12.40 million viewers, which they have it at like 6.6. I don't know what the fuck that means. Milwaukee versus the Suns averaged 9.91 viewers. Lakers Heat averaged 7.74. That was the bubble. Raptors Warriors 15.14. Golden State versus Cleveland 17. Golden State Cleveland 20. Golden State Cleveland 20. Golden State Cleveland 19.
And that's LeBron and Steph.
Yep. 15, 17. My gut right here is that it definitely beats Milwaukee Suns at 9.91. Beats 7.4 with Lakers Heat. Beats Raptors Golden. I don't know if it beats that. I think it's above last year's, which is a 12.4 million average viewership.
And I mean, you want to talk about fucking stars? Giannis versus Booker. I mean, and it didn't draw.
Chris Paul and yeah.
Booker was also kind of like in the infancy of his superstardom during that run, I'd say.
No,
Giannis was definitely
he was so good through the playoffs. He was carving his legacy through the playoffs, and everybody wanted to see CP3 win it finally. And no, I disagree with that 100%.
Yeah, I won't. Let's look at Booker's stats now while you talk. Say your take, Greg.
No. I'm thinking about that because I think 2 years after he dropped 70. I mean, the bubble was the Phoenix team that went 8-0. They didn't qualify for the next round, so they were getting momentum. I don't think Booker was at that superstar level yet. And people forget too, Josh, when Chris Paul joined the Suns, Like they weren't expecting to contend right away. Like that was a team that Paul kind of looked at as almost kind of like his, off into the sunset team.
Since
It was like one of those teams that like he was going off of as like a salary dump at that rate. So I think it took a while to get there.
Here's what I'll say, Greg. So that final was 2021. He averaged 25.6 points at that point. Okay.
Okay.
The year before that, 26.6. The year before that, 26.6. The year before that, 24.9. The year before that, 22.1. The year before that, 13.8. That was his rookie year. This year, he's averaged 27.8. So if you need us to say that maybe people weren't somehow magically respecting him, okay. But when you look at his shooting percentage, he had from 34% at the finals year, 35 the year before, 32 before, 38 before, 36 before, 34 before, 38 the next year, 35 this year. To me, it's a difference of what you want to say people are considering him. I'm not sitting here saying Devin Booker is an absolute home run superstar because we started this conversation with just star.
Right.
Superstars, a little bit of a different. Superstars like Steph Curry, LeBron James. Star is closer to what Devin Booker is and what Jimmy Butler, I think, is trying to get out of. Real quick, guys. Josh, Webster Dictionary talent. That's why I don't want to see the series. Boston versus LA. Greg's absolutely spot on. Most world want to want that matchup. Memphis doesn't draw. They are like Denver. Which market is bigger? Question mark. Most world wants to see Ja Morant over Joker. And is it not really about market? It's fun to watch or not. Jokic, for example, most people do not like to watch him play. Comp to James Harden. Most people prefer not to watch Jokic. I would not comp Jokic to James Harden. I would watch James Harden play almost every night NBA, to be fair. Is it the same comp as Joker versus Embiid? That's not a bad one because Embiid, for me, I think people say they like to watch. He's maybe a little more fun, but Joker, again, wakes up with 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. You know what I mean? Like he just walks out of the game. You think he did nothing, and he's doing – because I'll tell you right now, guys, the best play of the year was his one-footed 3 over Anthony Davis as a dagger.
Yeah, and it wasn't sexy, but
he did that twice, which is the scary thing. And then I mean, do we recall too? I think a few months ago, where I think someone in the NBA media circle was accusing, what was it, Jokic of stat padding?
Padding, and that he was bad at defense.
You know what I mean? Then stop him, I guess. It's like,
that's fair. And I'm curious to see how Bam does against Jokic because I think Anthony Davis played probably the best against Jokic out of everyone so far.
Yeah, let's look at their path to the finals. But go ahead.
I mean, in terms of like the one-on-one matchup, like especially game 1 and game 2, like Anthony Davis actually was contesting a lot of Jokic's stuff in the paint and stuff. Like Jokic was working him like with regards to footwork and getting passes out of the way, but when it came up to one-on-one going against each other, like Anthony Davis was holding his own. And I think with Bam Adebayo too, people forget how good Adebayo actually is defensively because we always assume that he could be way better offensively, but for some reason he just can't bring that out of him on a consistent basis. So I think that's something that people are forgetting, that like Adebayo, if he could, or if he just wanted to, if someone lit a fire under him, like this dude would be an elite player in this league. But for some reason, he just doesn't have that yet.
I don't have the stats pulled up, but the matchups were it would have been Joker versus Rudy Gobert or Cat, depending on who played that position in Minnesota, but that would be Rudy Gobert, torched his ass. Gets to Phoenix, torched DeAndre Ayton, who I think is a bust beyond busts. Gets to the Lakers, definitely Anthony Davis. So I would argue that Bam Adebayo is a good shot to be the first true defender because Rudy Gobert is, but he's also, I think he was getting assimilated. The Minnesota team still kind of young. I'm not going to put that on them right now, but I will say that maybe Bam's the best defender he'll see, despite Anthony Davis doing a decent job on him.
Mm-hmm.
We have, just to revisit real quickly, we do have Booker as an all-star, not a superstar, from our breakdown we did a couple of months ago.
Suck it, Greg.
I didn't claim that I would just say that in 2021, geez, I had to like get that out right. I didn't think he was at I think he was a rising star, but I didn't think he was like a solidified household name yet. That's all. Like
I so strongly disagree with this comment from NBA.
Okay.
One-footed three is not as fun to watch as a tomahawk dunk from John Morant. I couldn't disagree more. There are so many people in the NBA that can do an elite tomahawk. LeBron can still do a tomahawk dunk.
Yeah.
That three over Anthony Davis from a 7-foot foreigner who was the back-to-back MVP, who just made it look like he made it look easier than Steph Curry.
And he sealed the game away with it.
Yeah.
Like
that was extremely fun to watch as a Lakers fan.
Like is if you look at the highlight alone, I can see where people lean towards dunks, right? That's why SportsCenter always has 2 dunks in the top 10, right? But when you take into context what that shot meant and the fact that he did get shut down and that step back put up was a last second attempt to try to get a shot off and it fell. That's the kind of shit that made Larry Bird a fucking legend. That's what made Jordan a legend. That's what made Kobe a legend, is hitting those kinds of shots in those moments to say, no, not today. You're fucking done. And
especially
in game 4. That was the sweet fucking LeBron.
Well, I also wrote in that AD is better at defense than Bam. Bam was second team all defense this past year, just to put it all in context here. So go ahead, Greg.
Well, I did want to bring up too, like I would refer to the game 1 that he had too, which was also a dagger, and the same essence where he like did a step back, like up to here, and that was like when the Lakers were getting some great momentum in the second half and was going to probably take the lead until Jokic shut that down pretty quickly. So that's another way to kind of think about like how just the skill from something like that. But I think looking in a couple years right now, we're going to look back and think that Jokic, we realized how elite of a talent he was, and we took him for granted because he's just not a sexy player that gets us excited to watch. Like he'll do everything correctly, but there's nothing like that just wows you about him, you know?
His stats.
And also I just think like this is going to sound very accusatory. Do you watch the game? Because if you watch the game, he's impressive. If you watch the game, he's the one with the ball in his hands. He's the one driving his team. He's the one making the shot. He's the one everybody shifts to try to stop. He is the game when he's in the game. I can't remember who said it, but they said that the best players are not the guys that you game plan for, but they're the guys that even when they don't have the ball, you have to be aware where they are.
NBA says, I cordially, admittedly, gentlemen, disagree with you, Deke. I would take LeBron's tomahawk dunk or 80's dominant block over Steph's 25-foot three or Joker's 3-pointer. That's fair. At that point, it's just difference of what we want to see. So I'll accept that.
Again, I go to context.
Yep. I think that's fair too. But when you talk about the play itself, sure. I mean, I like a tomahawk. I think that the best thing the NBA has had in the past maybe 20 years was the Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon dunk contest. But context.
What's better, the tomahawk dunk or Dame waving goodbye from deep?
Dame waving goodbye, not even close. That's a moment.
Josh,
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Josh, what I would want to bring
really
up too,
quick, both of you.
I also think the reason too that we're not going to we don't look at him in the same light as probably some of these other guys is that in today's way that we watch the game, we're all about highlights. We're all about the quick hits, like everything that gets us excited. Most people probably can't sit through an entire game unless you're a true fan and you want to see everything that happens and watch the play unfold. You're going to focus more on like that ooh or ah moment that like gets people excited or gets people up their seats and stuff and like just go crazy with that. In today's NBA, that's what we live for. We're such a highlight driven now sports fan that it's why I think we don't look Jokic in that same light because it's very rare that you get those highlights from him. That's why that step back 3 over AD was so memorable because it's something that we can hang our hat on as like that signature moment for Jokic.
Did you just hear that? Greg called me a real basketball fan.
Yeah, I'm interested there.
Yeah, because I watched the whole game.
Because he watched a game.
Yeah, I watched all the games. I have Heat in 7. That's all I wanted to say. Heat in 7.
I have Nuggets in 6.
Let's move on
Sadly.
to a cooler or more different topic, just because we've been on this one for a minute. All right. If you are the Boston Celtics, what do you do now?
The interesting conversation comes about blowing up the team. So there's been a lot of trade packages about Jaylen Brown kind of out there and about in the world. To me, you wouldn't have fired your head coach if it not for something he did. So I don't want to sit here and act like they've given up or done something. I think they're still a ridiculously young core. And I think that what they really genuinely need to do is try to attract a better, younger big man. I don't hate Al Horford in any way, shape, or form. He's definitely a great leader and veteran presence there, but they need to bring in a younger, better big man to help out. I wouldn't blow it up at all. I would let it run because what we've seen from Boston is 3 Western Conference Finals in the past 4 years or 5 years, something like
Eastern
that.
Conference, yep.
Yeah, Eastern Conference Finals. They have an elite team of players that Greg hates because of Jaylen Brown. And I think for me, if you want Jason Tatum to continue to rise and be the superstar that we all think he can be, then you need to get him a big man that isn't Al Horford.
Just out of curiosity, and I'm putting this out here for the sake because of the fact that he should be dealt from his team at some point. Would you take Andre Ayton over Al Horford?
100%. I would, because from what I've seen from DeAndre Ayton, he has flashes of being somewhere up there. Al Horford just eventually is no longer going to be Al Horford quicker than DeAndre Ayton is going to be out of the league, I guess is what I'm looking at. Like, if I was going to get them somebody, Ayton has proven he can at least be dominant. Al Horford is he's just a veteran right now. You would not?
All right. No, I think I'm still like, when like Al Horford was in his prime, I know the type of player he was, like double machine for Atlanta and all that, but he's not in his prime. I think he's a very good role player. I like Robert Williams. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a decent front court, but I kind of am in an agreement that they do need a lot better of a center presence for them to be able to utilize it more. And with regards to what they should do, I'm still hung up on the belief that what really screwed the Celtics team this year is that they got away from their identity from Ime Udoka. They became way more too reliant on three-point shooting than they were previously, and the numbers showed even in the playoffs that like it affected them in the absolute worst way. They became too reliant on it, and I think that they need to get back to that defensive type mindset that got them to the finals 2 years ago. That kind of led them to what the team that we had and previously was. With regards to Jaylen Brown, that was an awful Game 7 performance. 8 turnovers in a Game 7 is not something that you want from a guy that you is eligible for a 5-year, $295 million contract. But I think people are too hung up on that contract number because the whole reason he is eligible for that contract is because he earned it.
Yep.
Like it's not like we have these numbers out here for the sake of it's what he demanded or it's what, his agents are pushing for. No, the way the CBA is set up is that if you hit certain escalators like in your current contract, then you're eligible for that max when you're due for free agency. So I think too many people are held up on the 5-year 295, and that's something that I think we need to nip because that's how the CBA is set up.
So to back you up here, he had 6 points per game his rookie year, to 14 to 13 to 20 to 24.7 to 23.6 to 26.6. Like each year, he's aggressively increased his production, his games, his minutes, everything has gone up in terms of what you'd want to see from somebody drafted the way he was. NBA says, which side wins this trade? Austin Reeves and D'Angelo for Jaylen Brown. The Celtics absolutely win that trade. Because you're just giving up a guy in Jaylen Brown that's obviously good. He's a good guard, but he's a better Austin Reeves. Like Austin Reeves has shown up and been that guy, and I don't trust Austin Reeves to consistently be that guy. But I think that Celtics would be very happy with that trade if it would have happened. back to what you were saying, though, Greg, Jaylen Brown 100% has earned that contract. And I think people get too tied to what the team is paying versus what they could or should be paying or all of the ins and outs of it. I mean, Marcus Smart is 30, Tatum 25, I think Jaylen Brown 26. Like, you're looking at a team that is almost no longer this young team, right? So I would much rather than pay Jaylen Brown right now, try to get some free agent big man, which I'm going to look at who's potential free agents, and keep the core together for another run.
Yeah,
especially it's their coach's first year.
Yeah, and to point this out too, when when was the last time, or even like I can probably recall maybe off the top of my head one time this has ever happened, but when trades in the NBA occur with star players or like supermax eligible guys or guys that are due for big money, like when is the return ever fair? Is a fair package in the long run? You know, like like in the NBA, it's one of those things that like for some reason trade packages almost are so they almost like put these like huge packages together, and somehow some way they almost never turn out to be anything close to match what the player does. Like it's way different in every single other sport, but yeah, for the NBA, it's like completely different. Like I can recall the Kevin Garnett trade to Boston, where the Boston gave up like 5 players to go to Minnesota. None of those players ended up doing much in Minnesota. I can think of the only trade that maybe had something good come from it was probably the New Orleans and Lakers trade with Anthony Davis, because at least the Pelicans got Brandon Ingram, and Ingram is slowly blossoming into a very good player for them. But that's really it.
Yeah, those max contracts are death. I mean, they are in a certain sense, but also Joker got the biggest, you know what I mean? Like there are instances where it's like worked out and been good for a team, but for me, it's a tough one, because if you give Jaylen Brown this contract, which I think he'll get, because the other side of it is he was damn near great all year except for that last game, and the last game is the one that matters. But to me, it's you have a coach in his first year, a team that is damn near the top of the league, top 4 teams right now, I'd say, when everything's going their way. It's tough because, you know, we just finished talking about how we have 2 coaches in the NBA that deserve to be there for a long time. My only thing that would come back to trading any of these guys is if their new coach thinks they need to, because I trust the coach and Jason Tatum at this point.
I mean, are we putting too much stock in the Game 7 performance from Jaylen Brown, honestly?
I'm not. You brought it up. You hate him.
I know. I'm learning to eat my words on that and say that I was wrong, okay?
Eat crow.
I am eating crow. I'm learning to eat crow on this subject. But I understand bringing up the Game 7 thing, because I think the Game 7 performance is why this is becoming a subject, because of the fact that he's due for an extension, and because of how bad he played. That's why this is a question. If that Game 7 performance didn't happen, no one would be thinking twice about giving him a contract, unless the only other logic in this sense would be, do we want to pay 2 guys $60 million a year? Because by the time Jason Tatum is due for his extension, I think he's going to be eligible for 5-year, 315.
Yep.
Which is incredible which is incredible to think about, but it's the logic then, do you want to pay 2 guys? And I think the answer is quite simply, you are not going to get equal production in whatever package you get back from Jaylen Brown. Not draft picks, not young players, not role players, nothing.
Brad Stevens did come out today and say that Joe Mazzulla will return next year as the head coach.
Oh yeah, that wasn't really. That's a good point to call out. I forgot that Brad Stevens was still there. I think that he's going to be their head coach there for a while, because he was handed a project that was damn near finished, and he did a great job this year. And to Greg's point, he did change and trust the 3 a little bit more, but I think that's the NBA.
Can we go back to your idea of getting a big man? Because I kind of love that. I don't know that it needs to be a center. It can be a 4 or a 3. But who do you see as a viable option for the Celtics to go after?
Yeah, I think my favorite name right now depends on what's going on in Memphis, because Steven Adams is still relatively young and
exactly where my brain was, Derek. That's exactly where my brain was.
I'm thinking of teams that are in bad situations that need to either blow it up or decide. You got Steven Adams down there in Memphis. You got DeAndre Ayton over there in Phoenix that we talked about. I'm not really in love with any of the free agents out there, just for full transparency. I think that they're all kind of Brooks Lopez is in that mix, but he's too old for that.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah,
if you need him for a year,
yeah, it's not bad. But at that point, I'd rather keep or Al Horford. I think.
Let me throw a name at you.
Yeah, good.
Zion Williams.
Yeah, the problem there with Zion is that he is the Pelicans' like max player, despite all these issues, all these concerns. So the Pelicans would demand a shit ton, whereas the Grizzlies, barring Jaws situation, I think would be more happy to let up Steven Adams to be a little bit cheaper. I mean, Steven is 29. He's had a really, really strong career. Zion is, nowhere near I won't put him near the bust category at all yet, despite the injury concerns and everything, just because he's still only 22 years old. I mean, that's crazy. But if you want to give up a shit ton, the only problem is Zion might be up for one of these massive contracts we keep talking about eventually.
He just got one, actually. I think he got he got a 5-year, $200 million contract recently, actually.
It won't. So it hits next year, 2023-24.
Yep.
What if you trade Jaylen Brown for him?
I don't hate it, but they have. I'm trying to think. I mean, they're real guys. Who are the Pelicans kind of guards right now? Let's look.
They still have CJ. I know that.
Yeah, CJ McCollum is their starting shooting guard. Jose Alvarado, that city loves that guy. He's not going anywhere. I don't hate it, Josh. Just think it out loud. Brandon Ingram, obviously more of a small forward. Yeah, I don't hate it if they're hurting for guard work, but I don't think that they give up Zion, who they already paid, for a guy that they're going to need to then pay the same amount on when Jalen's, 25, I think. Zion's 22, and the upside of Zion is much higher than the upside of Jaylen Brown. But it's a good idea.
3 years younger, too, is something that you can't knock at either.
Yeah, it's just a thought because, like you said, and like we've talked about a bunch on this show, the big man's dead. The center is dead in the NBA right now. But if we're looking to revitalize that guard-big man relationship that was successful through the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, like, that's the best one, right? That's the highest ceiling. So, and if you're the Boston Celtics, you do everything to get yourself over that hump and back into the championship conversation.
I mean, is the center position dead when the last 3 finalists for the MVP have been centers?
So we went over this last week. Technically, we're only counting 2 of them as centers.
That's true. Yeah,
because
good point.
Joel Embiid and Jokic. Well, what about Embiid? If Philadelphia's blowing everything up, and you're the Celtics.
Oh, I don't think they're blowing everything up. I think they trust Nick Nurse to keep that engine going somehow, some way.
Okay.
I don't know what to see.
I really like your idea because I think that was something where they got exposed a lot is in the paint. The entire playoff run, they were getting bullied in the paint the entire playoff run. Do you need to go get a superstar there? Probably not. But who knows?
No, the thing was Adams last year signed a 2-year deal for 25.2. So he, in 23-24, Adams were in a base salary of 12.6 while carrying a cap hit of 12.6 million, a dead cap value of 12.6. So this is his last year. So if the Memphis Grizzlies were like, you know what, this Josh shit's a lot, we got to figure something out, that would be a very, very easy contract for the Celtics to pick up.
And plus, that's already a very young team in Memphis. So, like, by their standards, Steven Adams is kind of old, which is kind of scary to think about at 29. But yeah, that could be a very reasonable option for them. And plus, if they still want to get more youth, I would imagine with the amount of guys that Danny Ainge drafted over the last couple of years that I think are still on Boston's roster or even like they have rights to, I think they won't have any issue finding some young talent to supplant for that in the long run.
All right. Let's do this real quick before we take our break. This weekend, Bert Kreischer released his long-awaited movie, The Machine. I was in attendance for opening weekend because I wanted to support Bert Kreischer, and I will tell you right here, right now, without any spoilers, that it sucked.
I just for the first time listened to the Machine story today because I was like,
wow.
I've listened to him talk a ton. I've never heard the Machine story.
Sure.
Was it that you didn't like the cast because you mentioned that?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think if you're a diehard Bert Kreischer fan, you will probably like this movie more than I did because it's him the whole time. And the parts that I liked the most involved him not being on screen. So
Gotcha.
Really?
It's Jimmy Tatro playing him.
And I am a big Jimmy Tatro guy.
Yeah.
So, but his shtick, if you're not a giant Bert Kreischer fan, his shtick gets old quickly.
Yeah.
And having Mark Hamill as his dad is distracting because the entire time you're like, why is Mark Hamill here again? Like, you're just like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't believe that they're father's son. And at the end of the day, like, those are my big takeaways, is like that the Bert Kreischer shtick gets old quickly in a movie. I think when it's his stand-up, it's a little bit different because, I don't know, like, he controls the environment. You know what I mean? He's the only one you're looking at versus him acting with the fucking Mark Hamill. Not saying Mark Hamill's the greatest actor ever, but
he's Mark Hamill.
But he's fucking Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, there's certain lines he says at some points where, like, oh, it's Mark Hamill as the Joker, as Bert's dad, ?
Yeah.
I will say that it gets funnier as it goes.
Yeah.
Which is positive. And the big laughs are big. There's a great scene with a great punchline that takes place, and it's very, very funny. And there's some points where you do laugh out loud whether or not you're enjoying the movie because it is a funny moment and a good line. But all in all, I would say that the movie sucked. I think the other, and I should check this because I haven't looked at it in a minute, Rotten Tomatoes is split really heavy on this. So
wow.
So are we talking audience and like critic score?
Yeah. So So it's still this bad. Tomato meter is 22%. Audience is 88, and that was at a 93 after the opening weekend.
That's
the audience
at
score.
18 reviews for the tomato meter versus 500 plus for the audience score.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn.
And the audience score, like, again, like Sunday night or Monday when we checked it, was at like a 93%.
So just and you don't gotta you don't gotta spoil anything, but I didn't watch the trailer, so I need that. It's about him going back to Russia.
No, I mean, this is all explained in the trailer. Basically,
gotcha.
When he was in Russia, however many years ago, he ended up with a watch because he robs the train, right? That's part of the bit. So he robs the train, ends up with this watch, and now the lead of the new mob in Russia, the daughter is attempting to get the watch back for her father, who Kreischer robbed on that train.
That makes sense.
So that's the plot of the movie. There's also let me push my glasses up. From a nerd perspective, they're just giant fucking plot holes. He says that he was there in 1990, but then he's doing an Austin Powers impersonation. So like those things don't match up. There's a lot of that kind of stuff, and I think a lot of it is just like fast and loose. And this is not a spoiler. This is just kind of like a, hey, this isn't gonna happen. The end of the machine joke is he's on the train dock talking to the cop, right? And then you find out that the cop has heard about the machine.
Yes.
And he's like, fuck that bitch, this is Russia, right? That's the whole
That's
whatever.
the end of the joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Not in the movie. At all.
Really?
Not at all.
That's unfortunate.
It is. Like, I'm like, what the like
that feels like such an easy add-in.
Yeah. I don't get why that's not in there. It's not. And then it's just he like diverts from the joke quite a bit, I think, to add more substance to make it a longer movie. Ultimately, I think it would be funnier if it was 45 minutes on Netflix and it was just Jimmy
Tatro
reenacting the story that is told with a little ad lib in it and Burt Kreischer narrating it.
Interesting.
I think
I'll have to check out the trailer then.
So
and just see.
Yeah.
So, Josh, would you say that the movie was kind of just was too niche of a subject? Perhaps?
No, it wants to be an action comedy. My golden bar for action comedy is the Rush Hours trilogy. So take that what you will.
Fair. Fair.
But this was nowhere near. I mean, this is like say what you want about Adam Sandler Netflix movies, Murder Mystery and The Do-Over were way funnier and more action-packed than The Machine.
NBA says Austin Powers Shag Me Baby is the most recognized line from any movie all time.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Up there. It's freaking up there, man.
So yeah, I wanted it to do well. I love Burt Kreischer on podcasts. I love it when he's a guest.
He's hilarious.
He's great. But I just did not, and I wanted to support it because I mean that dude did the rounds on his media tour and was really excited. I mean, he was really excited about this movie, and I wanted to support it, and I was bummed out about how bad it was.
This kind of reminds me of, you know, how like Saturday Night Live has like those sketches that are like iconic, and then someone thinks to turn them into a movie.
Yeah.
That's probably like the idea that I think they were trying to go with. Like it can either end up being like, it can either end up on the level of, oh God, what's a good one? Wayne's
Night
World.
at the Roxbury. That movie was bad, objectively.
Yeah, I was gonna say Wayne's World's probably like
the best
up there, like like the umpteenth, and then after that it's like Coneheads or
Coneheads was good. Yep.
Yeah, or I was gonna say Blues Brothers. Blues Brothers technically a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Oh yeah.
Never mind. Blues Brothers is like the top tier. My bad on that one. My bad on that one. But yeah, there's also been some bad ones as well. Like the Ladies Man was one that wasn't a good one.
Yeah, or Superstar, or I mean, there are far more misses than there are hits. You're absolutely right.
So I guess that's kind of like the way we have to look at it from this perspective of that's kind of like the idea that they thought of, then just didn't execute.
Yeah. So that's my review of The Machine.
Good
we're going to take a quick song break, and then we will be right back after that with we're going to do a little bit of hockey talkie, and we're also going to discuss some of the problems some NFL teams are having with their quarterback situation. So we'll be right back after this.
Wishing all my dreams would die down in the darkness of me. As I walk into this great big room and all I see is your face. I want so bad to feel like that, to feel myself in the space. Ooh.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hell of a time.
Oh, what? What were you going to say?
Said I can't wait for a hell of a time.
A hell of a time with Hockey Talkie. It's your favorite segment. I was going to do Stanley Cup Finals, but would you rather talk about Kyle Dubas being the president of hockey ops for the Penguins?
We can do both. Who is that guy?
Yeah.
I know he's Canadian.
Yeah, so Kyle Dubas was named the director of hockey operations for the Pittsburgh Penguins today. What does that mean? I don't fucking know because I don't know what the director of hockey operations fucking does, or president of hockey operations.
So did you see any of his presser, just out of curiosity, Josh?
No.
Okay, so basically he said for the first month, he is the president of hockey operations, and he is in charge of the hockey department in its entirety. For the first month, because they're leading up into the draft and kind of into free agency as well, he's also going to be the interim GM because he wants to hire his own guy as the general manager. And then after that, it's going to be just building his entire department through scouting, analytics, player personnel, pro personnel, like all this. So it is essentially his baby is what he is building from the beginning to end is what we're doing on that one.
Okay, so
and
hear me out.
He also claimed too that he's looking at progressive candidates for the GM role as well.
Oh, it's Amanda Kessel.
I thought that too, but I think there's some other female executives. Like I think there's one in Seattle and one in New Jersey that was also getting interviewed with the Pens as well. So that could also be out there. But hey, if that's what you're going with, bud, I don't hate it.
Amanda Kessel, that'd be sick.
That would be tight. To be tight. In her
she already works for the Pens too, I think.
Yes, she does. And her first act as GM is bringing Phil home. Not to play hockey, but just to be like in the stadium on game nights, like handing out hot dogs or just being Phil. I don't know.
Make his brother like make her brother like the official fan ambassador of the Penguins. I mean,
he should die here.
Reluctant fan ambassador of the Pittsburgh.
Oh wow, so they already hired Amanda Kessel.
No, she's been a part of the organization since Phil was here.
Gotcha.
Okay, so hear me out though.
I'm hearing you.
If he hires Amanda Kessel, please just erase everything I'm about to say. If he's building the entire scouting department and draft and everything, why isn't he just the fucking GM?
Because I think that's him and Brandon Shanahan had that conflict over in Toronto, is that Dubas wanted more control over the entire organization in terms of like scouting and personnel and all that, and Shanahan wasn't willing to give it to him. So that's why they butt heads, and that's why he left.
What does the GM do?
I think GM does the day-to-day operations and the president oversees it.
This sounds like in The Office when Jim and Michael
are
both managers, and Michael oversees the big picture and Jim oversees the day-to-day. And then when Kathy Bates shows up, she's like, aren't you two doing the same job?
Doing half of one job.
That's how I feel right now. I'm not mad about Kyle Dubas being a Penguin.
Have we ever had a president of operations before?
Yeah, Burke.
Okay.
Yeah, Burke was the president. He was the first one.
That went well. I don't understand the teams that do this. None of them seem to be successful.
Can I like throw something at you real quick?
Okay.
When Jim Rutherford was the general manager, he did have 3 assistant general managers that did a lot of the legwork on his end. Bill Guerin, Bottarelli, and who's the guy in Jersey? I can't remember his name.
Yeah. You're right. Yep.
Tom something, I can't remember. But like all 3 of those guys were looked at as like, his top lieutenants and did like a lot of other things. And then they also became general managers and started leading their own organizations. So maybe it's kind of the similar thing, except a bit more like, I don't know, like linear. That's the only logic I can think of in that sense. Because in my other mind too, I think that there's a lot of NFL teams that do this too. Like they have a president of football operations and then a general manager.
Yeah.
Or like Yeah, there's even some teams that don't have a general manager, and the president is the one that makes the decisions. But Dubas came out and frankly said, like, he's going to be the president. The entire system is going to be in his image, but he is going to hire a general manager to be the one to like make the day-to-day operations and decisions.
What are the day-to-day operations? And I'm not mad at you. I need a definition of what the general manager does if the president of hockey ops is like filling out the roster. What are they doing? Are they just like watching the game and being like, man,
the selection of players and player drafts and work with coaching staff and scouts to build a strong team? That's what Ice Hockey Wiki fandom said.
So what's the president of hockey ops do?
What do president of hockey operations
because like
do?
So like the Flyers hired Keith Jones in that role.
But management structure work differs from franchise. This is from the Ottawa Sun, so take it with a grain of salt.
Canadian newspapers
can be vital. The Senators are grooming, so I don't want to read that one anymore.
They would know because they invented that fucking position.
Let's see. I'll find it. You guys talk.
So, and actually, Josh, real quick, I would like to also point out that another famous sports franchise has a president position and a general manager beneath him, and it worked out very well and won them a championship.
Who's that?
The team that you currently have a hat for, because Theo Epstein was the president and Jed Hoyer was the general manager when they won the World Series.
Right. But Theo was the GM first.
No, he was the president because he was the
GM
GM
as president.
Yeah, because he was the GM of the Red Sox and came to the Cubs as the president and brought Hoyer as his GM. That's how that structure worked out.
Okay, so you're talking me into this. You're talking because I was mad. I'm like, he's 37. What is he doing moving upstairs already? I want that man in the GM chair making decisions if we're going to fucking go with him. But if you look at the Theo Epstein situation, that's exactly what this is, where he's going to come in. Oh, fucking Greg talked me right into this. All you had to do was say Theo Epstein, and I was 100% in.
And Theo Epstein changed baseball for the better. So, hey, Dubas might do the same thing for hockey for all we know.
I legitimately think that's possible. Like, I'm not mad about the Dubas hire at all. I'm pumped. What I was upset about was him getting that fancy title. I'm like, no. I want this man making real decisions that impact my team. I don't want him just shaking hands and kissing babies. I need this dude, this 37-year-old former whiz kid who fucking built the Toronto Maple. Yeah, nerd, because he wears glasses. Fuck you.
He is a huge nerd, actually.
He's not a huge nerd. He just wears glasses, and hockey people don't understand.
Dude,
what, Greg?
He froze.
Greg, just speak. What's going on, Greg? Greg, just let us know. What's up?
Tight.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was waiting for me before I actually responded to something. But I wanted to point out, too, that he is a nerd while Josh went on his rant because he is literally the one that brought analytics to the forefront of front offices in general. So by that logic, he is kind of a nerd.
Or a millennial. Did you ever fucking think of that? He knew how to use a computer, and everyone's like, he's a fucking nerd. He knows how to use a computer.
Chat GPT, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need Phil Kessel to be brought back as the guy who interacts with Chat GPT to find out if we should trade for this player or not. That's what I need it recorded. And I don't want them to actually do it. I just need it's like a weekly series. Like Phil's like over there like, yeah, should we trade Crosby for McDavid? And
that is not how Phil Kessel sounds. Come on.
GPT fires back like, absolutely not. Phil, he's like, I don't know. Phil he just made me work really hard to win those cups, and like I'm on Vegas and I eat hot dogs and don't do anything. I fucking would die for that. I'd kill for that.
Could you imagine the rabbit hole he would go down to of just potential possibilities in that conversation?
Yes. I just remember Phil Kessel had a full theater room in his house with a single chair in it.
Man's dream.
Oh fuck. All right. Anyway,
that's the dream.
I'm excited for Kyle Dubas. I think that I feel so much better about that than I felt about Burke and Hextall.
I'm excited for change.
Yeah.
I'm excited for something to happen.
I look at this and I just want a plan. That's all I ask for.
He will have a plan.
Fair.
I want a plan. I want a plan that lets our star players go off into the sunset and finds a way to rebuild our entire organization. I want us to actually build a bottom six of guys we draft and don't have to overpay for. I want a steady defensive core to be able to come up. I want depth at goalie so that we don't have to worry about making a decision about if we want to re-sign our star injured goalie, which, by the way, he had some comments about Jari that was actually interesting during his presser, which I found fascinating. He basically said, we're going to consult with Andy Chiodo and Mike Sullivan and look at how Tristan Jari stacks up. And then based on how the free agency looks for the goaltenders, if he measures up to that, we'll make a decision then.
So what I'm hearing is he has to bare knuckle box Andy Chiodo with Mike
More
Sullivan
than
in Chiodo's corner.
More than likely, yes.
Fuck
But he
yeah.
also pointed out the fact they got 20 million cap space, so they can definitely do some stuff this year if they want.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm excited about Kyle Dubas. I thought when he got rumored, I think I'd have to go back and rewatch that video, but I'm pretty sure I was fairly positive.
He also said it was the next day after he got let go by Toronto that Pittsburgh called him.
No, he walked away.
Good.
Well, sorry, after they disagreed on the
that whole thing is
or whatever. But like,
literally, he said like, "This has been hard on my family. I don't know if I want to come back." And Brendan Shanahan's like, "You have a family, pussy."
See, and that is why I think this will work out, because it's that diametric like type of mindsets with regards to running a team that's just not going to work. You have the old school mind of Brendan Shanahan and the new whiz kid in Dubas that just conflict. If Dubas is your president of hockey operations and he brings in his own general manager that has the similar type of mindset of him, but maybe wants to try some new stuff along with it, that's how you build a harmonious hockey department that can compete every year.
I think now that I sit here, I'm even more excited. Fenway Sports Group owns the Penguins. Who else does Fenway Sports Group own? Liverpool. What happened after they got a hold of them? They won trophies 4 fucking years in a row. Then Greg does the Theo fucking Epstein analogy for me, and I'm stiff as a brick. I cannot wait. Is it hockey season yet? Is it October? Let's fucking go.
Well, I mean, it still is hockey season. So.
RJ's in the chat. Typically, hockey president handles the business side of organization, while the GM handles more of the team-related issues. Can vary depending on which organization. NBA said president of hockey operations and GM, they are on the same team. Duties is meant to have overlap. Speaking of GM, is Omar Khan related to Shad Khan, owner of the Jaguars?
No. As
What's
far
up,
as
RJ?
I'm aware, no.
So there you go.
All right.
RJ played hockey at a pretty high level, so I would trust him.
What's up, RJ? All right. RJ, what do you think? Knights or Panthers? Best of 7. Derek.
Is it bad for hockey is it still bad for hockey if the Vegas Golden Knights win? Because that was the big concern their first time, right?
Yes, that was because they were brand new.
NBA. So LeBron is a minority owner in Fenway Sports Group. Fenway Sports Group owns all those. So LeBron does not own Liverpool. He owns a small share of Liverpool.
But he does rock Liverpool, and when they purchased Penguins, he rocked a Penguins jersey. So here's where I'm at with that. And Greg asked a very similar question last week. And I listened to a podcast that made a really interesting point. Shout out Puck Soup. Vegas is not going to win. If they win, they will not win this cup with a 23-man roster that they got in the expansion draft. Their top line will feature 2 players that they traded for in Mark Stone and Jack Eichel. In fact, most of their top 6 does not contain players that they got in the expansion draft. They don't have a goalie from their
4 guys?
Four guys left. Yeah.
4 guys? Yeah.
Technically, Derek Englund is part of the organization still, but he doesn't play. So they have 4 guys left from that original expansion draft who are playing on their roster. They're playing key roles, but they are not the guys on this roster. So if anything, it's actually good for hockey if Vegas wins this because it cements that hockey market in Vegas. It's a copycat league, so a team that trades and gets 2 giant stars out of those trades and then wins a cup, that's good for hockey because then everybody else is going to be moving superstars around like they do in the NBA.
RJ said Panthers in 6.
I have Panthers in 7, so
I have Panthers in 6. It's nothing against Vegas. I just think South Florida's hot right now.
There's something going on in Iowa. Something special, Derek.
Got that one.
Yeah, I already kind of did a video about this. I just think playoffs is tough, right? Because it's either A, you're a nihilist about it and you just say everything's a lucky bounce and like it's flip a coin and this team didn't. I am much more on the guy who wants it. You earn it, and by playing the right way and playing hard, you earn those bounces later that end up being the decision makers. And nobody has embodied that quite like Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah.
And particularly, and then also I love the renaissance of Sergei Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky. And Aiden Hill's a punk ass bitch who thinks he's fucking hot shit and he's about to get his dick rammed in by Matthew Tkachuk and the boys.
Greg?
So
Greg.
Yeah, geez, thanks. So I've kind of struggled with this topic for a few days now because I kind of brought this up to Josh previously. Is like I don't know from a hockey standpoint which decision would be better for who won, because I think the fact that they put an expansion franchise in Vegas and in 6 years' time they've maintained a steady fan base and also proved Vegas as a viable sports market in general, because now there's an NFL team and there's gonna be hopefully an MLB team there. That's game changing, and it proved to like just not just that side of the country, but to the entire country that Vegas is actually a sports town. Like, it's very real. But the NHL for the longest time has tried so hard to get hockey over in the Southeast. Like the amount of times, like, they put 2 teams in Atlanta and both of them failed. Like, they have been trying. The Twitter is awesome. The Twitter is awesome. But I think the fact that you have Tampa Bay, who's won, I think, 4 cups in their franchise history.
Mm-hmm.
You have Carolina, who's won a cup.
They won 3 in a row.
They went to 3 in a row, and they won 3. They've been to 4. No, 5. They've been to 5.
Well, they won one in 2004, 2005, because I remember they beat the Flames.
And then they won back-to-back, but they also went against Chicago in 2016 and lost.
Okay.
And then they went against the Avs last year and lost. So they've been to 5. They've won 3. Okay,
so they have 3 cups. The Hurricanes have won a cup, survived bankruptcy, and that fan base is thriving now in Carolina. So the fact that the NHL finally has momentum in the Southeast, and you might finally be able to get something for that franchise in Florida that is just in this weird place that you claim they're from Miami, but you're actually like in a suburb of Miami, which is kind of more Fort Lauderdale-ish area. And it's just like, I just think this franchise has just been cursed for the longest time because they've never been able to build a fan base. And now that there's finally some momentum there, and you have a guy who's just rising through the playoffs and is making his name known in Matthew Tkachuk,
I challenge that.
Yeah, his name was already known.
Well,
You're really big
I
on
don't.
this.
That's not what I challenge.
Oh, okay.
I challenged Greg saying the Panthers never had a fan base because I saw thousands of little plastic rats whipped over the glass a couple years back, and I'm pretty sure that was a fan base.
Okay.
They handed out rats at the stadium and said, "Throw these on the ice," and it was the most annoying thing ever. And that felt like they had a fan base there, though.
I don't know. Maybe it's because of the fact that the team in general has struggled for so long, and that's why the fan base. has kind of struggled, but
I'm
but like
trying
for
to go ahead.
but like for me, it's just I've never kind of grasped the idea of the Florida Panthers having like a real like diehard hockey fan base. Like even if clubs in the Midwest struggle, like they'll still turn out for the St. Louis or Minnesota or anything like that. So it's just, and they've been there since 94, 95. I mean, they got to a cup in 96. They didn't win, but even then I don't think they were ever able to kind of maintain and build the momentum that Vegas did within 6 years and being competitive and going to cups and maybe not winning, but still getting there. So I've struggled with who this would be bigger for in the long run for the NHL even, or hockey in general. But in terms of this actual series, Florida's on a roll, but that Vegas team is so deep.
Yep.
And I think Jack Eichel is having a very good playoff run, even though he didn't score a goal in that last series. I think that's a guy that is a ticking time bomb waiting to happen in this Stanley Cup final. So I say Vegas in 7. And the only reason I say 7 is because they have the worst goalie.
They do have the worst goalie. So the Florida Panthers were founded in 93. In 98, they moved to Sunrise. So they played in 2 different cities, which definitely did not help. They were originally in Miami. So that definitely doesn't help their consistency. I do want to talk about the Jack Eichel thing real quick.
Go ahead.
So in the Connor McDavid draft, everyone felt really bad for Buffalo because Buffalo had openly tanked, damn near put the puck in their own net to try to get Connor McDavid. And they lost the lottery, and they ended up second. And everyone went, well, they're second, but they get Jack Eichel. And Jack Eichel could be just as good, if not better, than Connor McDavid, which on paper was absurd. Connor McDavid is far better than Jack Eichel. However, Jack Eichel's first ride through the playoffs, he's in the Cup final.
Yeah.
And Connor McDavid has never been to a Cup final. I think that part of this story has kind of been swept under the rug a little bit by hockey media, and I would like to hear that come out a little bit more because that is such a cool piece. And again, this goes back to what I spoke about earlier, was like they traded for him. They went and got him.
Where was he at?
He was in Buffalo.
Gotcha.
They were like, he can be the guy. They believe that he could be their franchise player. And with Mark Stone and Peter Angelo, that they had a core 3 that could carry them to a cup with those 3 dudes. And the next season, it fucking developed into a real situation where they're back again. That's such a cool thing to me. I also really like Jack Eichel as far as, like, he was a college hockey kid. He's American. Like, there's so much for me to like about him. That's such a cool – it's really cool that we have 2 superstar players in Eichel and Tkachuk that were kind of written off as being like, they're fine, they're not great. And now they've both led their teams to the Cup final, and one of them is going to cement their legacy as being the fucking guy. And I fucking love it.
Which team do you guys root against more, Vegas Knights or Tampa Bay Lightning? It's the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, I love the Lightning. I don't root against either of those franchises.
But the Lightning are the only team that can touch like the Penguins' dominance over a certain number of years.
Oh, they've surpassed us at this point.
But that's the point. That's why I hate them. They can die.
They have surpassed us for sure. They've been to 4 Cup finals. We went to 4 Cup finals. They were in more Eastern Conference finals than we were. And we have we have more cups than they do. So.
Yeah. I would say Tampa simply because conference and because we've lost to them in playoffs before that are stinging defeats still. So that would.
Did we? No, just once.
Yeah, I remember that year. We didn't have Crosby or Malkin.
No, we had ACL. It was Malkin and Stahl. We didn't have Crosby.
No, Malkin tore his ACL before that series.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Because it was James Neal and Stahl were at the top line. And that was Jordan Stahl's last year in Pittsburgh, which heartbreak.
Yep. And Josh, real quick with your thing about Jack Eichel, I think the reason it's not pushed enough I truly think there still is this negative perception about Jack Eichel for the way he handled leaving Buffalo.
I agree, but here's the fucking deal. He was right.
Well, the Pagulas are not the most ethical.
We're not going to say shit about the Pagulas. We're not going to say shit about the Pagulas being bad. They're great. Thank you for Penn State hockey. We love you. 2016 was the best year of my life. 2016-17 season. I got married that year too. That was the best year of my life.
Big
Fuck
year.
that. 2016
Big
was
year.
the best year of my life.
Right.
I got married and I won a ring.
And you got 2 rings technically.
Yeah, technically. You know what, Greg? You're fucking right. I did get 2 rings. Thank you for pointing that out. So to give context, Jack Eichel he had something fucked up in his neck. I can't remember exactly what. There was the surgery that was recommended from the past 20 years, and Jack Eichel wanted to go with this doctor in this new surgery that would allow him to play at the same level he was playing at. The old surgery, there was a chance it would fuck him up and he'd never be able to play again. As wrestling fans, Greg, we know all about neck injuries and fusing plates together and how it can end or restart a career. Insert Edge, Page, Daniel Bryan.
And also Kurt Angle, who was the one that
Kurt
pushed
Angle.
for the new neck surgery that instead of going through the back, it was going through the front.
So, Jack Eichel wanted the fancy new neck surgery. Buffalo was like, it's too risky. We don't want to do it.
Really?
He said, I refuse to get this surgery. I'm going to sit out. So Buffalo says, fine, we're going to trade you. He says, knock your socks off. Gets traded to Vegas, gets the new surgery, and now is in the Stanley Cup final. So he was fucking right because he is playing at a clip that is Conn Smythe worthy right now.
Facts.
So he was right. I love Buffalo. Love you. I hope that Kim Pegula gets better. She's dealing with a very terrible illness right now. But yeah. So that's hockey talkie.
Let's play a game.
You want to play a game?
All right.
Yeah, we'll push the football one to next week because we got loads of time with that.
Yeah. Can we? I saw Will Levis. Did you see the clip of Will Levis today?
I don't think so. Of him talking about his punishment.
No. So
Him throwing footballs.
It's Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis, and Will Levis, and they're doing just a simple drill where they're like, stepping over the bag and they're getting punched with like the arm things, and then they got to turn and fire into like the 3 rings that you're supposed to be able to hit, right? Tannehill does it, turns, fires, boom, right in. Malik Willis does it, turns, fires, boom, right in. Will Levis looks like he is sprinting through this drill. Like he's moving so fast, turns and just airmails it over the net.
Yeah, I heard Tannehill's been light years ahead of them, which is great considering the Bucks have just 2 terrible quarterbacks too. So
Yeah.
fun stuff coming to you guys next week.
Yeah, all right. Let's get these guys to run here. You got to see that. I'll send you the clip. It's so fucking funny. You just watch like 2 dudes do it relatively well, and he's like effort, and then launches
and
it
then
over
just
the
Uncle
fucking,
Rico up the ass.
Yeah.
I don't recall accuracy being the thing that he was known for. In fairness,
Correct,
so.
Greg. But I mean, the net is like 20 minutes, like maybe 20 yards away. Like it's not something he needs to. Yeah. It looks like we're gonna do best summer beer activities.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is
Is this an Anastasia ad? I know you said she added some in. I'm trying to remember what we.
No,
when
this
one
was
was ad.
This was originally a Dre ad that we had to
Nice.
like kind of tweak a little bit. So it's best summer activities to do with a beer.
Real quick, NBA says, Deke, need your honest opinion on Tannehill. Is he going to have a good, okay, or bad year? I think he is going to have a good year because they added some pieces to that line, got him some weapons, and Derrick Henry's still Derrick Henry. But I think it's going to be good by the standard of he's going to be a top 15 quarterback in the league in terms of all the metrics that matter, and he's not going to lose them a game. Is he going to be good enough to make them not move to Will Levis at week 16, 17? I doubt that. I think they'll eventually turn to Levis and try to get that started while they use the rest of Derrick Henry's legs. But I think Tannehill has a good year. I think it's almost tough for him not to.
Oh man.
What would be considered a good year, by the way, for Tannehill?
And I don't think their O-line is worse than last year NBA. They added Skoronski, who was the best offensive lineman in the class. What were you saying, Greg?
What would you say? What would be considered a good year in your opinion for Tannehill?
3K, 20 touchdowns, 11 picks. Get them in playoff contention.
That's at least 500 football, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I would say
in a
for him
winnable
probably
division.
like 350 rushing yards. I think it's doable for him.
Yeah. Because who's gonna challenge them in that division? Not the Colts.
Jags.
Jacksonville.
Oh, true.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Baby.
But here's
Jags
the
will
thing
win that
too. Like,
division.
yeah, but here's the thing. The Jags barely won that division last year, and do they have a lot of talent? Yes, but like we've seen this before with Jacksonville, where like they seem like they have a lot of talent, and then somehow, some way, it just kind of blows up.
Never had Dougie Fresh.
That is true.
He
And
was
they got
so
Calvin
big
Ridley
for them last year.
And they got Calvin Ridley back. So
Agreed,
nice.
NBA. That's a good rating.
I just go back to that fucking story where he pulled everybody in individually and he was like, "Who hurt you?" That was like how he started being the head coach. He's like, "I know, Urban's gone now. It's fine."
Facts.
All right. Best summer beer activities. So the order is Deke, Josh, and Greg, but I feel like Greg should have to be punished because the actual running of the running backs went Deke, Josh, Greg, Greg.
I don't know how I would. I don't know how I'd be punished in that sense, but I could try.
No, that's fine. It was just funny. Okay. Do we want to do 5 or 10?
Let's do 7 and see how we feel. Because, I think 30 activities is going to get into some weird territory. I think 7 is, if we're good at the end of 7, we'll be good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. 7. I love it. Oh, shit. I thought I changed
So basically,
this.
I need to drink.
Jesus Christ. Where's my thing? All right. I erased a bunch of. Originally, when we came back, we had those full screen things. You remember?
Yeah.
And I thought I deleted all those, but apparently not. And I just hit a hotkey that sent us into a fucking tailspin. Anyway, Deke, you're up first. Do you want to do snake or what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's do snake since we didn't do that last week.
Cool.
So best outside activity to do with a beer.
It can be. It's summer
activity.
So
summer
you can.
Activity. Gotcha,
Yeah. So it could be outdoor, but it doesn't have to be.
This is
It's tough.
I'm gonna go with hanging by the pool. I think it's a safe pick. It's not the sexiest of picks, but when you need a tackle, you need a tackle. So I'm gonna say just sitting by the pool, sipping on a beer.
What do you need it?
I don't know what sipping by the pool popped Josh for, but I'm curious now.
It's just funny.
You need a tackle.
You need a tackle. You need a tackle. Hanging by the pool.
Quarterbacks on the board, but we're not here for the misses, Greg. We're here for. I need to solidify this roster from the start, and I can take my dart throws later.
I like it. By the way, speaking of needing a tackle, did you see the video of from the Jets draft room where Joe Douglas called us trading up to get Broderick Jones and stuff?
No.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. I should look that up. All right. This is in the same vein, but they are different. Give me River Float.
I almost took that. That one is a logistic risk due to the setup and breakdown, but I don't. It's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean that's.
My thing is I've only done it once and it wasn't that big of a deal, but my buddy wants to do it Sunday, getting to the location.
True.
Driving back after, there's a lot of parts of it that are going to suck. And if you get too drunk, it's that guy was supposed to drive. But it is a absolute first round pick.
Yeah.
You cannot spell the word pool to save your life today, huh?
No, I spelled it correctly.
Well, I know both times you put PPOL.
So, listen, these were
put Hagen.
These are 8% beers.
You guys want to hag by my pool this weekend? Little hag by the pool.
Is that not hanging?
Haggin?
Yeah, hanging.
Hagen?
Hanging.
Yeah.
All right, hanging.
Go ahead, Greg.
All right. This first one, I only do because you can technically do it with one hand. Cornhole.
Oh, I feel like that should have been mine.
I was thinking about that, but then I'll explain.
Mm-hmm.
It's a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's great. I got some questions in a future pick.
That's fair. I had it in my head because like I'm thinking, all right, it's a summer activity with a beer, so therefore one of my hands is preoccupied.
It's a great pick.
So
It's a great pick.
therefore that was the logic I was thinking. All right.
It's a first rounder,
so
yeah.
that's one.
It's a
100%.
first rounder.
It's the best of the games.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Greg.
Okay. Now this one I have in my mind because it's also one that you can do with one hand. It's also a game. It's a little more difficult to do with a beer in your hand, and that's Can Jam.
Oh.
So I thought about that too. I played it this weekend. It's a good one. It's
a good one.
It's very hard to do with a beer in your hand because I played it this weekend too. Because trying to also like hit it in while you have a beer in your hand is very challenging.
So this is not best summer beer activities. This is best summer activities to do with a beer in your hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also think that largely depends on the effort level you put into Can Jam.
Well,
I can't play Can Jam without being on the ground. I don't
just removed a couple things off my board is more where I'm at.
Well, listen, if it's if it's a bad throw and I have to like lean out to go like try to spike it into the can, then like I have to put effort in somehow.
Well, hang on. Okay, yes. Greg, you're right. I want to know, Derek, do you want to switch it to the other?
No.
Because I feel like I'm understanding what you're saying. Like, there's fun things to do drunk in the summer that don't necessarily involve like having a beer in your hand.
Yeah, like swimming. I guess hanging by the pool would have one. River float would have one. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's just like it's interesting.
I think I'm leaning towards what you're saying. I don't think you need to like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the beer in hand constantly is not necessarily like a. Yeah, I don't know. I understand what you're saying.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah. I'm up. Oh.
Wait, no, Deke's up.
No,
I'm up.
I went
Okay,
first.
my bad. I was out. Yeah.
Sitting on the porch.
Damn it.
Safe.
I was thinking that one too.
Our porch is not big here in Oklahoma City, but
you got a porch.
But I have one, and we've been using it. So
as you should.
Yeah.
As you should.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe that's a Pittsburgh thing. Like I don't see like my neighbors out on their porches. It's just like a Yinzer thing. We sit on the porch, see what's going on in the neighborhood.
No. I love sitting outside.
Being fucking nebby.
I'm gonna take.
You're up.
Grilling.
Oh yeah,
Good one.
Grilling off the board.
Very good one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a huge one.
And I'm gonna take. See, this is a little murky of it. I want to select outdoor sporting event. Do I have to be more narrowed down?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because then it comes to city or park or sport or.
Is there anything?
Right now, for me, clearly it would be going to Geodis Park for an MLS game, right? But it's like, I think if we're saying activities, going to a sporting event is an activity, but there's a gray area.
I think, and because now I have the question, does that take the other sport that happens in the summer off the board?
I'll say going to an MLS soccer game because of the city I'm in.
No, let's say professional sports game.
Okay.
Yeah.
There. Cool with that.
Let's make it challenging.
Yeah.
In that case, yeah.
Because that does then officially count as MLS, but also, Greg, you can't pick an icy light can tall boy in your hand at PNC Park. That's
hurts.
been taken off the board.
That hurts.
And there's nothing better. If
there
sitting on the porch is here, it's just slightly above it with an icy light at a PNC Park.
300 level with a tall boy in my hand while I'm looking over the city skyline.
Yeah.
Nothing more perfect.
Doesn't even matter if we suck.
They're over 500, damn it.
All right.
Just saying. They're over 500 by a game. It still counts.
You and Marty are riding that wagon together. All right. Greg, you're up for two.
I will gladly do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm up. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
you're up for
I'm
one.
up. Oh, okay. Cornhole's off. Sports game is off. I feel like we've done all of the water activities. This is tough. I already took porch. Oh. I don't. Okay, I'm just going to say it and we'll see what happens. Bonfire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sitting by a fire.
Ooh,
If sitting
that's
on
good.
the porch is the thing, sitting by a bonfire, having a bonfire, yeah.
Yeah, bonfire. Bonfire and a beer.
That works for me.
It's not a top 5 beer. I think we've established the top 5 beers. It's a top 10 beer though.
Yes.
You know
First
what?
beer to
Yeah,
fire.
I will give you that.
Yeah.
I will give you that.
Yeah.
First time I was ever drunk was by a bonfire, so that's fair.
I'm glad you're alive.
In Slippery Rock.
Thank you. No, I was 17 and it was
I'm like, where in
and it was-
Greenfield do you have a bonfire? That's what I'm trying to figure
You'd be surprised, my friend.
That's a
You'd
great
be
question.
surprised.
That's Yinzer pride right there.
You'd be
Oh, it's just in the
surprised.
backyard.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Just gotta do it on
You-
Sundays when the city said it's okay.
That's right.
Well, you'd be surprised with some of the shit we could get away with.
It's all on the county, Josh. It's not on the city.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think that's like a rule here. Like, I don't think that's a rule that like. I think that
I
is
said it to my buddy today
uniquely
because he
us.
lit his shed on fire last night. I was like, "What day are you guys allowed to burn?" He's like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
He's like, "All right, fair, touche." I'm the idiot.
Uh,
Day you guys allowed to
goddamn.
burn? I don't know. No, that's only Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, probably. Thing.
Yep.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh
All
my
right.
God, Greg, you're up for 2.
All right.
Day you're
My-
allowed to burn.
Okay, so my first one is this is the only I think the only time you can actually do it is in the summer because it's the perfect weather. But laying in a hammock.
Oh.
Yep. That's a good one.
Hammock beer is incredible.
Hammock beer is incredible. Yep. I had friends that used to live in an apartment on Penn Ave, and they had a deck that overlooked like Bloomfield, and then you could see Oakland and stuff. And they had this awesome hammock that I actually I almost slept in on Monday, but it was perfect for a beer.
Nice.
And then my second one, outdoor concert beer.
Mm.
That's a good one.
Outdoor. Outdoor concerts are sometimes they can suck, but sometimes they're excellent. So
I can't believe that this came back to me, and maybe I'm breaking the code here. Beer Fest beer.
Sure.
I have no qualms.
As long as it's in the summer.
Do you want me to put Susie Boozies to be specific? Is that?
Yeah, I'm just saying, as long as it's in the summer.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, beer fests are traditionally in the summer or when it's nicer
The better
weather.
months, yeah.
Yeah. Beer Fest. Beer Fest beer. Deke,
The
you're up
good
for
kind
2.
of beer fest specifically.
I had one I was really happy with. I'm gonna go. Man, I had one at the top of my fucking head that I was hoping would get back around, and I can't think. And I think it was in the game department.
It's the concussion.
It really might be. The shit hurts. Drinking and driving. No, I'm gonna go. See, this is an interesting one because it's not really in your hand.
Fired off.
Golf.
Yes.
I was thinking that. That's a good one.
I will
Yes.
golf this summer with a beer in my hand if it makes this an eligible pick.
You can't. Well, you can't golf not in the summer. Where we're from.
Oh yeah, fair, touche.
So like you know what I mean? Like I understand in Arizona you can golf year round and that kind of stuff, but like where we're from,
But I'm saying the beer in the hand thing.
I think you can putt with a beer in your hand.
I've
Touche,
done
there
it.
we
Say
go.
it.
We'll take
I've
that.
done it. I've had a
possible.
stroke off with a beer in my hand.
There you go.
Yeah.
Me too. Different.
You got another one.
So you got that one, and I'm gonna take. What do we have so far?
I just got another good one.
feel like I'm missing the one that I had, and I was really proud of it, and I can't, for the life of me, think of it right now. I'm gonna go with rooftop beer.
Damn it! Damn it, Derek!
Which is like a rooftop, but hanging
Damn
on a
it!
rooftop. There's so many in Nashville. It makes a lot of sense. Nothing beats going to Jason Aldean's, just listening to live music up there and just chilling on that rooftop.
Fuck you, that was mine. Damn it.
That's a very, very good one, actually. I wasn't even thinking it.
I'm just thinking of Nashville at this point.
Damn, that's such a good one. Oh, fuck. Oh. Well, all right. Bachelor party beer? Do people have bachelor parties that aren't in the summer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, never mind then. Never mind. This is tough. Oh, okay. This is Pittsburgh specific, but I'm sure there's a version of this everywhere. Open container.
Okay. I like that. Anywhere that you can just walk around with it.
Yep. And those are generally reserved for summer.
Yeah.
I guess maybe this is a Laramie specific. There was a section in Laramie that was like the downtown region that was open container through the summer months. That was the only time you're allowed to do it, but like that was elite. And I know there's places in Cleveland that are open container where you're allowed to walk between bars with beers and that kind of thing. Open container, summer beer.
So it's basically like a condensed version of New Orleans.
Yes.
Okay.
But only happens in the summer.
Okay. That's pretty cool, actually. Okay, so I have not done this one, but I imagine it would be a good one. I think it'd be in your wheelhouse, Josh. Camping beer.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That was that I should not have left that off. Yep. Camping beer is great.
Camping beer, I imagine, is pretty great. I got asked if I wanted to go this year, and I'm kind of like on the fence on it because I've never gone, but I'll think about it.
First time he got drunk was at a bonfire in Greenfield somewhere, but never been camping.
I've never been camping, no. So
Jesus
I gotta think about that one. And my next one. Oh, I loved this, and this only happens in the summer. So
okay,
Renaissance beer. Renaissance Festival.
That's fair. That is a summer thing.
Yeah. Listen. I was drinking Killian's Red at the Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival last year. Loved it so much.
The only person here that was picking that was Greg. It's a
great pick, but I can't. I'd be stolen valor.
Yeah, I stole.
Very on brand.
All right, softball league beer.
Ooh, yeah, good one.
That's a good one.
Shout out Chip. Softball league champ.
That's a good one. Hiking beer. Is that's not summer?
Ooh.
If bachelor party is not summer, that's not summer.
Yeah,
it can happen in the summer, but I'm not taking it in the summer. Let's do.
It's the most popular, yeah.
I will make this outdoor or something, but beer pong. Outdoor summertime beer pong.
I'm surprised you didn't just do like beer Olympics or something.
No, I don't want to take them all. Same way that like my next pick is going to be 4th of July barbecue. And so my original question was going to be, can cornhole and can jam be at my barbecue still? Since Greg took them, that was why when you took cornhole, I was like, oh.
There's nothing like getting drunk for America's birthday.
Yep.
Ain't nothing like it, brother. Shit.
I was drunk Monday for American Heroes, so close thing. Just saying.
Yeah. What do you think, Bean?
I think Bean approves. Bean, we gotta get a review from you, bud.
He said he can't do all those things, so he's pissed off.
Yeah, you're not old
yeah,
enough, buddy.
He's not legal age yet.
Oh, he's gonna be super mad when I go watch this Heat game after this.
Oh,
He'll be okay.
Yeah.
Still drinking my beer.
I'm out. I'm tapped. 7 was good. 7 was good.
7 felt right.
Yeah, 7 was a good call. I think this might be too generic. First beer out of a cooler
In the summer.
Like that first cooler beer.
So I would say that's not an activity.
I know, but it is for me.
You like savor when it's the first one.
Yeah, it means something.
Yeah.
I mean, if it gets us through this draft, I'll take it.
Oh wow, thanks. Shit, man, I don't know. That's my favorite. Oh, first tailgate beer. No, that's not a summer thing. We do that in the winter.
Country concert.
Oh, I ain't never been to one of those. That's Stolen
Fair,
Valley.
touche.
I ain't ever been to Kenny Chesney repping shit up down there on the North Shore. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so tapped. Greg, do you want to go?
Steal the pick.
Renaissance Fair is cracking me up.
It's a good one too.
It's so good.
It's
perfect.
Ugh. I do not know. Maybe, and you would have to be kind of sneaky about this, but parade beer.
NBA Rig just wrote that in the comment. Macy's parade beer.
Well, not even just Macy's parade, but like any parade. There's a lot of parades that happen.
There's Pride this month.
Yeah, like have a beer while I'm watching the Pride parade. Why not?
I like that.
I'm in on parade. I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, you should just take the Penguins parade.
Penguins parade beer. Yeah. Stanley Cup champs beer.
Yep.
I was thinking at the zoo with like the Penguins parade around the zoo and you're drinking a beer while they're parading around in a meat pile.
I did not NBA. I'll check that after the show, brother. There's a cheese rolling contest that apparently you need to drink. That's funny. It's different than the other one.
Oh, not the one that goes downhill? Damn, that would have been great if you had to drink for that.
Yeah, right. There'd be murders. There'd be deaths. Josh, how you doing?
Not well. I feel like we've listed like every fucking.
What about?
Oh, I can't believe this was left off. Beach.
There you go. Boom. Beach beer.
Beach beer. Absolutely beach beer. I can't believe that was my last pick.
That was a great one.
Yeah, I feel like we really fucked that up.
I thought of one at like the last minute, but like a drive-in beer, like at the like a movie drive-in.
Oh, drive-in
that would
beer
be
is
a
a
good
good one, Greg.
I said driving, so that's different.
Yeah. Illegal, but yeah,
Well,
different.
well, I'd say frowned upon, but still.
No, it's illegal, Greg. It's not frowned
It's
upon.
only
It's a blemish.
It's only illegal if you're caught.
That's a good point.
What? That's all that matters. Just
Get
saying.
him, Greg.
Yeah.
Oh, we're so canceled.
Yep.
It's
No,
just
man.
frowned upon. Big
It's
difference.
all right.
All
We'll
right.
get canceled together. That was a good show, boys. A good draft that I won again.
Oh, fuck off.
I don't know, you did not have Renaissance beer, so.
Fair. Touche. Next week, we'll talk NFL a little bit because we skipped it this one. And then next week, we'll have a couple different previews for the finals here.
Yeah. Well,
fan.
breakdowns of the finals at that point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Big stuff would have happened in that time frame, I would hope.
I love it.
So.
I love you, boys. NBA, thanks for tuning in. RJ, we appreciate the shit out of you for coming in and joining. Another wonderful episode of Two Beers Deep.
Say goodnight, Derek.
Good night, Derek.
No.